problem is Brandon Marshall. Because I'll be honest, I think that if he wasn't a member of the Slapahoe tribe, that Denver would have no problem re-signing him. But he can't quit beating on women. He's always getting arrested. I don't want to say always, but he's been arrested multiple times for beating on women. And especially in today's NFL with King Goodell handing out suspensions to all the players, but not the coaches, they can't invest money in a guy who may be suspended for 4 games, 8 games, a whole season, because he might punch another woman in the face, allegedly. So I understand why Denver is holding pat, because, I mean, judging by their preseason games, they don't even have a quarterback, so there's no reason to pay big money to a wide receiver, especially a wide receiver that you don't know if he'll get suspended or not. He can't keep his nose clean. He can't keep his hands off women in the right way, not the good. I mean, in the wrong way, not the good way. You know, some women like the hands on him, but he's not putting hands on them in the correct way. He's not. They're not asking him to put hands on him. He's slapping them around, allegedly. And so I understand why Denver's not being quick about trying to re-sign him or give him big money, because to me, if I'm Denver, I'm like, dude, you got to prove that you can stay out of jail.
KSU Sports Radio.
Yeah, I think Denver is just a mess now since they got the new coach taking over, and he runs off their star quarterback and Jay Cutler and gets Kyle Orton, and it's just not looking good. He threw 3 picks in the preseason. Now with Brandon Marshall, this controversy going on, it just doesn't look good for Denver as an organization right now. And I'm not a fan of firing a coach after he hasn't coached a year, or even 2 or 3. I think you need to give them time to implement their system, but you really have to take a look at the hire and if it was the right fit for your team, because right now it does not look that's the case. And it's a shame, because Denver has had such a storied tradition in the NFL as being a good team and competing at a high level. Now it just looks like they're kind of becoming a laughing stock and not being able to compete and just kind of disgruntled, dysfunctional.
Right. Why did they fire Shanahan?
Exactly.
I don't understand that.
Because
it's always, you always think the grass is green on the other side. Just like you got that fine girl, she's sweet to you, she's nice and everything, but you see that other girl over there, she might be a little more, she's a little cuter, whatever. So you think, and that's what I think they did with Shanahan.
Well, with Mike Shanahan, I can understand it a little bit, because, I mean, think about it. Denver hasn't been very good since John Elway. John Elway retired last decade.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think they've won 1 postseason game since John Elway.
But had they been to the postseason pretty much every year?
No, they hadn't. That's what I'm saying. They had that 1 year with Jake Plummer. I think they went to the playoffs a couple years, maybe. Right. But Jake Plummer been retired like 3 or 4 years. Denver hasn't. That's what I'm saying. Denver hasn't been successful in the last decade. Like I said, I think they have 1 postseason victory in the last decade. So, I mean, it's kind of like what a lot of people say the Braves should do with, what's the name? Cox. Bobby Cox. And it's like, I understand, I understand if you want to keep a guy, you want to be loyal. But on the other hand, maybe, and especially when you look at the relationship that Pat Bowlen and Mike Shannon had, they were more than just coach and, owner and employee. They were very good friends. So this was not a decision that Pat Bowlen made easily.
Yeah, he almost had tears in his eyes.
That's my point. So if for him to make the decision to fire Mike Shanahan, it had to be a decision that he felt he had to make. He didn't, it wasn't something he came by easily.
I think it's kind of like Tommy Tuberville in Auburn, and you see that there's a change that probably needs to be made, but in both instances they downgraded in the hire. Well, you got Gene Chizik at Auburn who failed miserably at Iowa State, and then now in Denver it just doesn't look like maybe the head coach wasn't the problem. And that's what a lot of people point fingers at. Oh, it's the head coach. It's got to be that. Maybe it wasn't. And that could be proved to be right at Auburn and at Denver, because, it looks like right now there's still a problem at both the universities, and the change in the head coach was not the answer.
KSU Sports Radio.
I think that if you take like Denver for Denver, I think if there's, because I think that Marshall is like a more. If you remove it from the situation, I think they'd be much better. Although they trade like a caliber quarterback for somebody who's not as good as Jay Cutler. Even though Jay Cutler was like a crybaby, but at least it was good. Because right now, if I'm trying to take like Denver is now is becoming basically like, I might say that the Cincinnati Bengals, where you have Chad Ochocinco doing like all the crazy stuff over there. You have Marshall doing the same thing also, like you doing in Denver. So I kind of put the same way. Remove them more. Try to get. The coach. That's the first time he's going to be coaching. Everybody has to start from somewhere. You take Bielak, like AT like to say Bielak. He didn't. He started as assistant coach. After assistant coach, he came up and up. You know,
LT's
yeah,
favorite.
Yeah, yeah. AT favorite coach, be like shit. Yeah, I think the hiring. It's a good one because he's young. He's only like 32. The coach is only like 32. Yes, give him a chance after 4 or 5. Maybe that after his 3rd, 4th season to fire him if he's not doing good.
Well, Francis, you know what kind of society we live in. We live in a "what have you done for me lately" society. I don't think he's going to get that long. If he doesn't do it within 2 years, I think he'll be out.
The thing is that yes, they have to remove the more, and the more is Marshall. Yes, he might. He might be the best in the team, but at least they can go try to trade or get somebody from college who's good. AJ Green is in Georgia for 2 more years, and then they can go and pick him up. Because I think he's good. Or I think they have again like what's again the kid from Alabama?
Julio Jones.
You talking about receiver?
Yeah, the receiver.
Julio Jones.
Yeah, Julio Jones. He's there again for 2 more years. They can go and pick him up because I know the Denver got what they got I think that the fourth pick for next year for 2010 and 2011. So they can still go trade and get somebody good, and they can still remove the more from the situation. And I think the coach is good. The hiring, I think, is good. Give him a chance, and we'll see what's gonna happen.
Where did the big lineman from Oklahoma go get drafted by? Duke Robinson. Do you know where he went?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember. I could look it up,
Yeah.
but I don't remember off the top of my head. I do want to say, I do want to disagree with Mr. Morris's comparison a little bit, talking about Denver and Auburn. The situation at Auburn, I feel, was a little differently because that was the first losing season that Tommy Tuberville had. It wasn't like they had been steadily falling down like Denver. Tommy Tuberville was winning 10 games a year. There was only one coach in Division 1A who has a better record against the top 5, and that's Pete Carroll. And so the reason that Tommy Tuberville got forced out is because there's a big booster in Alabama, or a big Auburn booster, that just never liked the guy and been waiting for a reason. So that was a little different. That's I just wanted to say that because Tommy Tuberville, I feel, got jobbed. I don't think that Mike Shanahan got jobbed. Now, I could understand why some people would keep him, but I understand why Pat Bowlen may have felt he had to get rid of him. But I think that Tommy Tuberville got a raw deal.
And
Yeah.
people, go ahead, Mr. Morris.
I see what you're saying. My metaphor in comparison was more after the fact, not why they got fired. I see that's 2 different scenarios. And we've been talking in the Owl's Nest about this, firing without giving a guy a chance, and that I think you do need to give a guy some time to prove that he can coach and implement his system. But in Denver, it does not seem like McDaniels has control of the locker room. And if your coach can't control the locker room and rally the troops already, you have to start looking at, well, maybe this guy just isn't fit for our NFL job, because you can't have a guy there 3 or 4 years that already does not have the respect of the locker room, and it seems like that's the case. Nobody really respects him, and everybody's kind of smarting off to him. Like Cutler was, everybody says he was a crybaby, but he was kind of treated wrong in his mind, and in Denver, they didn't handle the situation the best, in my opinion. So I think, if he doesn't get control of the locker room, he could be looking at losing his job, pretty soon.
KSU Sports Radio.